It's Wednesday, November 13, 2024. Let's take a look at the headlines making waves in the Nigerian dailies of today. Let's begin with the Punch. The border headline says, Ondo poll, Shatima leads APC mega rally as governor. Ajayi's camps allege rigging plot. Kenton's page 2 of the paper for the complete story. And above the nameplate on Dangote, Ipman members load petrol 990 naira per litre. Beside that, on page 18, Army buries Lagbaja Friday, and on autonomy, federal government, governors, local governments sign agreement. The full story is on page 2 of the Punch. Beside the nameplate, Okpebolo takes over in Edo, Oshiomhole's son makes cabinet. Kenton's page 18 for the full story. And beside the picture on page 25, federal government services foreign debt with $3.5 billion. And below that, on child abuse scandal, Archbishop of Canterbury resigns. Kenton's page 22 of the paper for the complete story. Below the picture, Minister unveils 240 kilowatt solar power park donated by Azura Power at UNN. And below that, tax panel proposes relief for laws-making firms. Kenton's page 30 of the paper for the complete story. And beside that, on page 4, Ondo prophetess arrested over mother-child's death in church. And on grid collapse, EFCC probes electricity contract. Kenton's page 18 of the paper for the complete story. Away from that, let's take a look at Daily Trust, where the border headline says, Bandits burn maize farms in Kaduna. Kenton's page 4 to get the complete story. And below the nameplate, Zamfara youth protest at DSS headquarters over bandits attacks. 16 manufacturing firms lost 792 billion naira to naira depreciation, according to the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria. And beside that, India's Prime Minister visits Nigeria Saturday. Below the picture, Lassa fever, meningitis kills 762 persons in 1 year. And below that, in Edo, Okpebolo sworn in as governor appoints Oshiomhole's son commissioner. Kenton's page 12 of the paper for the complete story. And beside that, 19 directors fail permanent secretary exam and 10 die in Jigawa road crash. Let's take a look at The Guardian. The border headline says, Yuletide offers hope for weak naira amid negative forecast. Kenton's page 6 of the paper for the complete story. And below the picture, House of Reps seek review of mining consent process as collapse site kills 13 in Plateau State. Kenton's page 29 of the paper to get the complete story. And below that, on page 5, an Ondo poll, IPAC tax INEC security agencies on neutrality. And Okowa says, I have nothing to hide. OPEC projects lower oil demand as Nigeria's production stagnates at 1.4 million. Can turn to the panorama page 2 of the paper for the complete story. And above that, fund anticipatory climate actions. IRC tells leaders as flooding worsens. Nigeria recovered over $5 billion stolen assets in 25 years. Can turn to page 3 of the paper for the complete story. And beside that, on page 6, no MDA executed 20% of capital project, says EFCC amid push for power sector reforms. And below that, on page 7, Okpebolo sworn in as Edo governor appoints aide. Below the picture on page 3, meningitis, Nigeria records 361 deaths, 380 cases in 2 years. Away from that, let's take a look at Vanguard, where the border headline says, Minimum wage stays in panic mode over NLC's December 1st strike notice. Kenton's page 5 of the paper to get the complete story. And above the nameplate, firms' confidence in the economy fails 3.2% index point. That report is coming from CBN, and Kenton's page 19 of the paper to get the full story. Below that, on page 10, drop defamation suit against Serap, AI, others sue federal government. And beside that, on page 12, Shatima 6 APC governors in Edo as Okpebolo takes oath of office. And beside that, editors call for government intervention to save the media. You can turn to page 8 of the paper to get the full story. Below the picture also says World Bank, IMF determined to destroy our varsity system. You can turn to page 9 to get the complete story. And below that, on abuse scandal, Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby quit. Can turn to page 9 for the complete story. On Ondo Guber, PDP, APC trade words over plans to compromise poll. Can turn to page 7 for the complete story. To wrap up is the Nigerian Tribune, where the border headline says manufacturers groan as Naira floats deepens forex crisis. Can turn to page 7 of the paper to get the complete story. And above the nameplate on page 4, ASU links World Bank, IMF to policies destroying public varsities. And Okowa says to EFCC, I have nothing to hide. Can turn to page 27 for the complete story. Beside that, on page 6, CBN says 1/3 of Nigerians cannot access capital to grow businesses. Beside the picture, Archbishop of Canterbury resigns over handling of child abuse case. And below that, editors want government to ease impact of fuel subsidy removal, exchange rates volatility. An economic reform program, Nigeria pursues $5 billion trade facility from Saudi Arabia. Can turn to page 6 to get the complete story. And below that, on page 31, NCAA blows hot on cross-crew operations. And that's the headlines making waves in the Nigerian dailies of today. If any of these headlines caught your attention, do well to get a copy of the paper and read the full story on the identified pages.